So the things in which we were talking about was we saw the other time was get and then post, right?
Yes, please.
So there's put and there is delete. Are we okay? So
Yes, sir.
these 4 words make up CRUD, or into detail what we would be doing. Okay, into detail what we will be doing. So these 4 things, they make up what we'll be doing. And how do they make up? This is used to select things from our database. So if I want to select something, I'll use what? Get. If I want to go and insert something, I would use post. If I want to go and update something, I would use put. And of course, if I want to go and remove something, I would use what? Delete.
Delete.
So no matter the programming language, no matter what language you go and pick, you would always see these what? Words.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, please.
You would always see these words. So, as I said, today we are going to see how we can go and get information and then put it into our server, right? And then we're going to see how we can display it using the JSON and so on and so forth. But before then, please spare me a few seconds and let me go and else if into brackets the server request mode is requesting for a delete. Then, just like I went to the body of my data and got the JSON input from the body of my data, that is, if you see over here, where I showed you the postman, right? Over here, where we have the postman. Inside the postman, you realize that my application had a body. You can see the body is where the thing is contained, the body. And inside the body, there would be a JSON file here. So this piece of code here is very important. It's telling the computer to go for that file and decode it. When it decodes it, it will put it inside this thing here we call data. 1 second. Hello. Yeah, sorry. So this file here will go for the file and then put the file in here. If I was using this as an example, and if I was using this JSON file as an example, it means that the data that we put here would be put inside an array. So it will be data, square brackets, name, Okay. Data,
Okay, the data, you made it date.
Charlie.
Okay.
The way I'm praying for 20th to come
Mhm.
so that I can have freedom. It's not easy. 20th.
Mhm.
I need 20th. Email. And then data, square brackets, and then in this one, password. Then these will be equal to their values. So over here, the values that are these were LaTeX and all of those things. Those values would be inputted over here. Do you understand? So
Okay.
it is very important to know that this will do that job for us and go and put it in here for us. That means that when I take data, just data alone, in data, I would find these words here. That's why I can do data is equal to name and email. But for a delete function, it is not only okay for me to have the name and the email, I would also require the item's ID. So here, I will have to go and also get the user's what? ID. The ID field, when it comes to delete, is important because it allows you to uniquely remove a particular item. We do not need the name fields. That means that the JSON file we would bring when we are deleting, we would only require the ID.
Okay.
Also, yes, sorry, I'm quite so bad. Also, I can run my SQL statement. Now, here, we must be very careful. Here, I am deleting the item from the database. So I can type in the keyword delete from the user table, and I'm deleting where the ID field in the user table is equal to the ID that I have gone to gather from my JSON file. Now, this thing here would go and remove the record from the database completely. Nothing will be saved there. Sometimes you don't want to delete things like this. Sometimes you'd want to either update a particular field from 0 to 1 or change the status so that the person is still there. An example of this practically would be the hospital scenario that we are dealing with. When we say delete a patient's record, you don't go and type in delete from where patient is equal to customer, patient, card, the card number, whatever we call it, the patient card number is equal to whatever. You don't type delete. Normally, what will happen in that scenario is that you rather go and update his status to, let's say, suspended or deleted or something. If you delete, it means any record of that person will go with him, and you don't want that. Do you understand the picture I'm being?
Yeah.
So sometimes when people use the word, I have deleted him from the system, it is based on perspective. Are you talking about actually removing him or changing the status so that you cannot see him again? But in this case, I am deleting him. And then once I have written this statement here, I must give a message that I have deleted the user successfully. So here, this is the message, and the message reads, user deleted successfully. And now I can close my deletion statement.
Okay.
The next one is to put. And normally the puts and then the post, they are similar. Why are they similar? Because you need the same information you did from put in post. The only difference is that over here, I need to add the user's ID so that I will know exactly where I'm supposed to make the changes in which I want to make. Of course, another thing which will change is the statement I have here. I'm not inserting anymore, but rather I am updating. So I would update in the users table where the name is equal to the new name, the email is equal to the new email, and then the ID is equal to the normal ID we know. That means here it is not just name, but it is new what?
Right.
Name. So that we will have the distinction between the put and then the post. So here I have these things here. And of course, my message here would be update successful. Great. So now I can reach my local IPs. I can reach it. If it wasn't for anything, I could do testing with my Postman by having it downloaded locally. So you let me leave that one. So over here, I'm done with the API. Of course, on my desktop, I went there and created an application in which I called API example. Remember, when we open it, this is what we had. So this is what we had. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we are going to build on this. And how are we going to build on this? We are going to build on this so that we can either view the users, number one, so view all the users in our database, or we can add a user physically whenever we want to. So we are going to make changes to this. I would open this up again in my VS Code. Code dot. My VS Code is here. Now here, I'll start making my changes from here. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, in here, I will do my form. My form will have an ID of user form. I will cheat a bit so that we would save ourselves some time this evening. And then in here, I will add these things here. So I have a label for name, and then a label for email, and then I have a button for me to create a new user, or a button for me to update a particular user. That means that on my screen now, I should have this, whereby I can create a user or update a user whenever I want to. Now, if I can do that, then that means that these buttons here, I don't need them anymore. The only button I would need anymore would be the second button, which was for us to get all the users. Of course, this section is there for my output of my error messaging. And then I would have to put in my user information through a particular table. So here I have a table, and I would end the table with a table body having an ID so that I can use JavaScript to draw the endings of my table. So over here, HTML again, nothing spectacular here has been done, but I have now this kind of setup over here. Just so that everything can be seen easily by you, I will do a BR over here. I will do a BR over here. I'll add another BR. And just so that these things can appear nicely, I'll have a BR over here. Let me just add one more. And then I'll put two BRs over here too, so that my page will now look something like this. Great. So I have this. Now, I must input them into my DB, right? So let's see how we do that. Or better still, let's first deal with us clicking on the get all ID here. What happens when I click on this one? Of course, with the previous one, when I click, it was just showing me the information down there somewhere. But now we've removed all of those things. So what will happen when I click on this? What happens now? I am opening this site as a normal HTML page. I don't think I have my thumb on. So means I'm not getting access to my APIs. So here, let's see what it is telling me. It's telling me that it failed to load resource in the API one. So I would go and put on my server. In this case, I'm using my local server as that. And then I'll put it on here. We can see the information appearing here, but we don't want the information to appear here. We want the information to appear as a table. That is what we want. So let's see how we can make that change so that it will not appear in output anymore, but it will appear in a table format for us. Now, what will change? We will go to our JavaScript. Over here, when I click on it, it's supposed to do these things already, and it does them already. So basically, nothing here would change. But one second. Okay, so the information in which we got Sorry, 1 second.
That's okay.
So over here, we wanted the computer to go and fetch this API, fetch our response as a JSON file. And after it fetches the response, it should prepare it and then display it with this JSON file here. We do not want this to happen anymore. So this goes away now. What we want to do is we want to display it. And how do we want to display it? We want to display it by passing the user's function there. So this would display what? Users. Let me call this function display users. That means that I need a particular function whose job would be to display users. Let me just call it VUser, so that we can have a distinction between this one and this one, and you will not be confused. Now, in here is where I am going to do the magic so that it will display where I want it to display, in here. And how am I going to do the magic? I'm going to tell the computer that, oh, I want to create a variable for the table body. And of course, the table body is being held in the document dot get element by ID into brackets user table body. Now, I have just gone for this one here. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, in that, I'm going to tell it that, first of all, if there is already something there, the table has already existed over there, go and clear the table that exists over there. So, table body, its inner HTML should be equal to nothing. So I've cleared the table that is in there. The second thing I'm going to do is tell the computer that for each of the user values that we brought, so for each of them, do this for each. Now, the for each word here works with a function. In the same way, we have a for statement that is used to loop in the function. So this would go through row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. If there are more, it will do that for us. So this is me technically writing a function, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good thing you understand this one. And then the for each in which we have created, we want the element to be a function of user. That means I don't need the arrow function. So we want this. So it will take a parameter user. So the parameter user is one block of the JSON file. For example, this whole block here, from here to here, is user. All of this is users. Only this one, from here to here, is user for the first instance. When it goes for the second instance, to go for this one. The next instance is to go for this one. Do you understand? Great.
Yeah.
So in here, I'm telling him to go for just one of them. And when he goes for just one of them, we are going to create a variable and call it row and tell it that it should go to table body and insert into itself a row. Now, the row that we are created, we should insert a cell to the first cell, and the first cell will have an inner text of user.id. So where from this .id, again, when I come here, you can say where I have the user, it is picking this whole aspect. So I'm saying when you pick this whole aspect, go and pick just the ID section. The next one. And the next one, here would be row 1, here would be row 2. And in here, we'll have user name and user email. So I've just created a row. Also, I need to go and create a button for update and a button for delete. So I'll tell the computer that, hey, I'm creating a variable called delete button. And this should have a document dot create element, and I'm creating an element that is of what? Type button. So whenever I call on delete button, it means technically I've just created a button. And I'll tell the computer that the inner text of the button should read as what? Delete. And also, the button, whenever somebody clicks on it, it should be equal to a function that will invoke the delete user function. And what should go with it? The users.id. So this is how we will grab the ID and put it in the JSON file for someone to delete some piece of information he or she needs to what? Delete. Also, we need to tell it that it should create a row, and when it creates a row, is to insert into that row a cell number called cell 3, because we already have cell 2 here. And then when it creates cell 3, it should append to it a child and the child it is appending is called delete button. So since we are appending delete button, all the properties we've created for delete button here will be appended here and then put in the cell here for us. Also, we need to create the update button. And to save us all some coding time, I'll just paste the code for update button. Same as the delete button, you create a button, it's called update. Over here, you want to update a particular user. So you put in the functionality over here. And in our case, the functionality over here would be so on and so forth. Now note, when we get there, we'll cross the bridge. So now, if I come over here, it means when I click on get user to go and get them, package them as a JSON, give it to this one will come here and draw a table and join it over here for us. Let's see if our code will run. And guess what? It does. And guess what does it do? You can see the information is here and here. It creates the buttons for us to delete stuff, and so on and so forth. Hope you are seeing the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, everything coming together. Are you there? Are you there? No worries. So we are going to continue with the create user, update user the next time we meet. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
All right, sir. Kindly send me the recording.
I will.
Okay, thank you.